Hello, this is Chula Vista Councilmember Mike Diaz, and I represent Southwest Chula Vista. Welcome to This Week at City Hall. In this video series, I cover significant City Council actions of the week. For more detailed information, you can always go to my webpage at cvd4.org and then click on the voting record link. The City Council meeting of February 19th, like last week's meeting, was very short. Most of our items were on the consent calendar. That means that the City Council can vote or enact all of the items at one time with a single vote. As I mentioned last week, someone from the public can pull an item off the consent calendar, and in fact, someone from the public did just that during this council meeting. They pulled item number 4, which was the submission for the financial audit, but I'll give you more on that later. The following items were voted on consent. Item 2 was to declare the vacancy of Planning Commission member Yolanda Calvo. The city received a letter of resignation from Mrs. Calvo. Item 3 was a resolution to make Chula Vista 4th Fest, Harbor Fest 2019, and the 2019 Starlight Parade, city-sponsored events for 2019. This resolution would approve the city to provide the events city resources like police and public works. I feel these events are a great public benefit and that the city should sponsor them. Item 4 was pulled. I'll go over that one in a bit. Item 5 was a resolution to amend the compensation schedule and classification plan. This was needed to address the needs of various departments and the city's workforce. The effect of this resolution resulted in an increase of 1 position in the fire department and a reclassification in the city clerk's office. Item 6, the City of Chula Vista has been approved for a $3,000 grant through the 2019 Go By Bike mini grant program through Sandag. Staff was asking council to accept and appropriate the grant to the Office of Sustainability Fund. The funds will be used for outreach efforts during the city's South Bay Earth Day Fair, which will take place on April 6, 2019. Item 7 was to amend our ordinance on campaign contribution limits. Our city charter requests that the city clerk to adjust the contribution limits every 2 years, and the limits should reflect any changes in the consumer price index. If any adjustment is made, it must also be rounded to the nearest $10. The previous limits were $330 for individual contributions and $1,120 for political parties. The new adjusted contribution limit is now $350 for individuals and $1,190 for political parties. I think you should know that Chula Vista has some of the strictest campaign contribution ordinances in the region. So, items 1 through 7, except item 4, were approved through the consent calendar. And the vote was unanimous. Now, let's talk about the item that was pulled from the consent by a member of the community. That was item number 4, which was to approve the submission of the final audited financial statements for the last fiscal year, 2018. Every year, the City Council hires an outside third party to do an audit of our finances. They basically look to make sure that the city is using best practices in its accounting. The citizen that pulled the item felt that the council was approving expenditures without discussing them in an open hearing. The city treasurer explained how this is just an audit of our finances and that throughout the year the city council approves the budget and any changes that need to be made. In 2017, the city council requested staff to add more public workshops on the budget process so that we add more transparency to our budget process. After explaining to the citizen what we were doing today, the City Council moved to approve the item and the vote was unanimous. Items 8 and 9 were action items. Item 8 was a resolution to approve a 2-party contract with EES Consulting to provide a community choice aggregation or CCA technical feasibility study. The cost is to be shared between the City of La Mesa and Santee. The goal is to join in a joint powers agreement between the three cities of Chula Vista and Santee to manage the CCA. So, what is a CCA? A CCA is a program that allows local government or aggregators to purchase and to generate electricity for residents and business within their boundaries. In other words, we would become your electricity provider. This study will provide us with the information on the feasibility as it relates to the business side, which includes costs, management, and governance. The study will also provide us with what the CCA will actually do. I'm a bit skeptical, and so I requested staff to include several questions and scenarios in the study. For example, CCAs in California do not really reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the state where you and I live. CCAs are not 100% green, and they do count on fossil fuel to provide energy for their users. A few months ago, the city of Chula Vista approved its climate action plan. Part of that plan was making Chula Vista 100% green by 2030. I want to make sure that if we go to a CCA, that the CCA is in concert with the climate action plan that the City Council approved. That means generating 100% clean energy. That is what CCAs are claiming to do. So I want to make sure that our CCA meets the 100% goal. I also want to make sure that we protect our CCA customers by making sure that our CCA produces electricity cheaper than investor-owned utilities like SDG&E, and that it is self-sustaining and not reliant on our general fund, and that it actually reduces greenhouse gases right here in the San Diego area. CCAs were also sold as creating local jobs. At our February 19th council meeting, I made it known publicly that I want the CCA to create green jobs right here in San Diego, not in some other state. These greenhouse jobs are great paying union jobs, and we should fight to get them right here in Chula Vista. Item 9 was a 2019 financial report. We already know that expenditures will outpace revenues in the next few years, each year outpacing the previous year. Staff will be bringing council options on how to deal with those deficits. I want to make sure that you know that those deficits will have an impact on city service levels in future years. The good news is we got this week is that revenues are picking up. In fact, we exceeded our revenue projections by $2.4 million for the fiscal year 2018. The goal of the City Council will be to figure out how to come up with savings, which could include modifying service levels, cost cuts, or delaying costs in future years. I will also continue my work to attract economic development opportunities in Chula Vista. That is all I have for the February 19th version of This Week at City Hall. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions or you want to contact my office, you can call me at 619-409-3822 or email me at mdiaz@chulavistaca.gov. My webpage is cvd4.org and my Facebook page is Councilmember Mike Diaz. Goodbye and God bless.